Hello, everybody. Welcome to This is R&B. I am Day, and I am joined by the lovely, incredible artist Stout. I'm sure you guys are well aware with her and her music. She went viral last year, being featured on the Terrell Grice Show. She has toured stages across the world, so super honored to have her here with us tonight to talk about her upcoming album, Anomaly, which is available Friday, June 25th. Welcome, Stout.
Thank you for having me. So honored.
Oh, the honor is truly mine. So I want to make sure that before we dive deep into the album, that we have a chance to kind of bring people up to speed for those who may not know a little bit about Stout and your journey. I know you said you grew up in an apostolic church, which is its own special, unique experience, I'm told. I'm Baptist, so I'm like, I always joke, say we're the moderates of the church world. So I didn't have the same experience, but I'd love to hear a little bit about how your church upbringing kind of set your musical foundation.
My mother raised me in the apostolic denomination. And so, of course, like I said, that started when I was a baby. And when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I started to play the drums. And then I started singing in the choir. And then, singing really started to take over. That's where my began in the church, knowing that singing was something that I could do and that I really wanted to do, and I was really passionate about it. So that's where it began, and it went through my teens. And when I was like 19, I say, or maybe 20, that's when I really felt in my heart that I wanted to pursue music professionally. And oh my gosh, the rest is history. But it began in this little old basement church that I grew up in.
I love it. And I know you mentioned that you play the drums. So are there any other instruments that, of course, the voice is an instrument, but besides those two, do you play any other other instruments?
I play keys a little bit, all right? Just a little tiny bit. I know my way around. Okay. I am not a Corey Henry, but I do play a little bit. So drums and keys, yeah.
You sound like me. I say, listen, I can play my part with one hand, and that's it. That's all I got. So I definitely
give you
understand.
couple little chords. That's it.
I ain't accompanying nobody, okay?
No one.
So, the reason I bring that up is because for anybody that has not seen Stout live, first and foremost, what are you doing with your life? And more importantly, you have an opportunity to see Miss Stout touring live with the one and only, brace yourself, Ledisi. Like, what was that like getting that call? And have you and Ledisi worked together before? What was that experience?
Oh my God, it was just amazing. And I feel like just a manifestation of what I've been speaking and what I know God had planned for me. So it was just beautiful to actually experience the manifestation of what was spoken over my life a while ago. I didn't know it was going to be her. And it's just amazing because I look up to her so much, for years and years. I always looked up to her as just a legendary singer, a legendary performer. So to share the same stage as her, it's like, whoa, but I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Oh, yes. Listen, I have seen you live. So I actually want to talk briefly about how I was introduced to you and kind of go into some more questions. But I went to see Samo live in Atlanta. I think it was like September of 2019. It was like right before the Panera Bread slapped on all of us. And I remember it because it was like Whitney Houston's sister-in-law or whatever it is, Pat Houston was there. So it was like packed. It was you, Greg Cox, and Samo. And my best friend, I invited my friends because they had never heard Samo before, but they had heard of you. And he was like, Darius, just brace yourself. Like, you're not gonna know what to expect. And I'll just never forget, you came on stage, you hit, I hope I'm saying it, the drum pad, I believe that's the correct term for it. And you had this loop going. And the loop station going. And I just heard this voice that harkened back to like the ancestors to the present day come on the mic. And everybody was just talking at the table and we all said, who is, and like make my way to the front of the stage because it's incredible. And I think what really blows my mind and kind of transitioning to your recorded music is that I forget who says the quote, but recorded music and live music are two different art forms. And I think you drove that home for me because of the fact that how you perform live, you create an experience. It's something that you have to go there one time. It's only going to be that one time for that night. And the music is this continuous loop. You come up with concepts and ideas in your head, or maybe you have them pre-rehearsed. That's what I'm eager to hear. But then listening to your recorded music, at least everything prior to Anomaly, it's this entirely different package. And it's amazing to see how you do both with ease. Is that something you're consciously aware of, or is it just something that's produced based on what the scenario is, whether it be studio or stage?
Yeah, I think it's the latter of what you just said. It's just in the moment. It's just whatever I feel. Of course, like for the live aspect or the live shows, you know, I do come up with arrangements, show arrangements, but I do leave space for anything to happen. I leave space for the magic to happen. Let me say it like that. So yes, I do create set lists and things like that, but there's always a chance that it could kind of go left. And a lot of the times that's what happens. With the recorded music, you know, again, it's you know, me creating with the producer and just kind of feeling my way through each song. So yes, sometimes you will hear I will sound different. And that is why my record is called Anomaly, because I think that that explains who I am as an artist and as a vocalist. I have the ability to sound so different, and sometimes it's a little freaky, but it's just like, that's me. So yeah, that's just what you get. You never know what you're gonna get live.
But that's what's so amazing, because like I know, like I think maybe in the article I wrote previously, or just when I'm referring to you, I jokingly call you the vocal chameleon, because God really blessed you with the 64 pack of crayons when it comes to vocal colors. And I remember listening to some of the clips. I hope I'm saying this. Is it Dom? Domme song? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
The way that you approach that vocally compared to, say, some of the other records like Energy or Fantasy, I'm just, it's like, this woman can do it all. And I think what I love though about the records I've heard so far from Anomaly is that I feel like that's the bridge between the stage persona and the recording artist. Was that intentional, or just so happened I believe it's Sam Harmonix, he was able to capture your live element on record?
Yes, he was. And yes. You hit it on the nose. I think these records is definitely gonna set this tone for the live show. Meaning you're gonna hear the record and you're gonna hear the same thing live, but just with maybe a little bit more embellishment. So yes, it definitely, these records set the tone for what's gonna happen on stage live. Definitely. For this record, and just in general, I wanted to be very intentional with just the consistency of the record. So yes, they kind of sound a little different, but you will find familiarity in each of the records. You'll hear like a common sound in all of those records. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we were very intentional about in that, and that's why I'm like really excited.
I love it, because to me, what I've been blessed to hear already, it does hearken to like people that listening to you, I would assume are inspirations, but I could be completely wrong. People like the Tina Turners, the Princes, the vocal inspirations of like the rawness of a Aretha Franklin, but it's still very Stout. Like I don't listen to you and think, oh, I'm listening to somebody do a bad interpretation. No, it's you have an energy that definitely produces an aura in an audience. And I feel like this is the perfect way to capture it on record. So I'm curious, do you classify the genre? I'm personally I'm not that big into what genre something is. I think music should be music. But for people who kind of want to get a description, how do you describe the music on Anomaly?
Pop is pop. That's what we are feeling. It's if we had to categorize it, which we did, because we do have to, when you are submitting a record to be distributed, we classified it as pop. So for me, I feel like I'm gonna be like the new face of pop rock.
Yes. I
Pop
love
rock.
it.
So it has like the pop elements, the rock elements. Yeah, it's like new age pop rock. That's how I look at it. I feel like I'm creating my own genre. I'm creating a new sound with this record. So, I'm really big on just being authentic and just setting your mark. So even though the industry may say, "Oh, this is the standard," I'm saying, "No, this is the standard." That's why it's called Anomaly,
Yeah.
because I'm just like I deviate from what the societal norms or the vocal societal standards. I'm just the opposite of that.
But that's
So,
what makes you so unique.
pop.
I love that because it makes me think of, I don't know, like some of the girls in the early 2000s, like your Fifi Dobsons, your Santa Golds, your even Janelle Monáe's, people currently, was Khalees, people who did not fit a mold, so neat.
Yes.
And it was, for me, I'm just like, wow, these girls are different. And it's like, especially in an era where a lot of things sound so homogenous, it's refreshing to hear somebody come in unapologetically themselves. Like you were singing Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, and my inner like punk rock kid was just like, yes. And so that's what I hear on this new record. And it is a departure, I would say, from the previous EP with Under and all the other records and Be All Right, Okay. And For You, it is a sonic journey. But for me as a listener, I do feel like it makes sense if you've seen you live and it carries us over. But did you have any hesitations or reservations about taking your listeners on this journey and whether or not they would be up for the ride? I know that's right.
No. No inhibitions. Absolutely no inhibitions. It's art. It's art. And if you're really, I believe a true artist explores. You have to explore for it to be fresh. Like otherwise it's just gonna get, it just becomes, to me, it just becomes old. So I feel like every time you release something, clothes, glasses, whatever, music, I don't know, it should be a fresh take on something. You should have a fresh take. And so that's what I really try to do. So this was just like not a coming of age, but this was just like evolution. And I embraced it. And I was like, you know what? Here it is. They either gonna like it or love it. I love it. And I know they're gonna love it because it just makes sense. And we should always, be headed this way. We should always be ascending. I don't want to be
Yes.
like, you know what I mean? Here, I want to always ascend. Every round should go higher.
Absolutely. And I think what I love about what I've heard so far is the fact that you just sound free. Like, I'm not saying that nothing that you've done in the past wasn't you, because it was you in those moments. But from the lyrics that I heard in the prior EP, it sounded like you were on a journey for your own mental, emotional, and spiritual cleansing and healing. And now hearing this new music, it sounds like what the promised land was for you. This is what God said, I'm taking you through this to get to this place where you can actually inhabit the space that I prepared for you and be the artist that I called you to be. And listening to the records, as soon as they came on, I was like, whoa, okay, she's here. Like that freedom reverberates throughout the sound. So I can't wait for people to hear it. Heck, I can't wait to hear it all at one time and just like be in the space. So I'm super excited for you. And I think that I'm curious to know, are there any songs that stick out a little bit more or a little more personal for you? If so, what are those records and the stories behind them? At least 3.
It's all of them. I'm not even going to lie to you. I literally listen to them. I want to listen to them. So that means, and I know it's special because we really want to listen to your own music. Like if your own music is getting you going or hitting the spot, that's a great sign. But okay, if I had to point out 3,
because you've been playing Dom a lot.
I'm giving it away. Dom is one of them. I'm gonna tell you right now. This is for all my dominant, bossy people. Okay, because it could apply to men or women. It's whatever you like, whatever you fancy. it can apply to you. And there's some people that love to be submissive. So this is just me flirting with, you know, the divine feminine and just our divine power to dominate safely. So I
Yes.
really, really love that one. I love the sound of that one because it reminds me of like the 2000s when the Neptunes was producing Khalees, like that type of vibe, you know?
Yes.
So I love that you brought Khalees up because when I was writing it, when I heard the track, when Sam played the track and I started writing, I was like, yo, I can't really sing to this. I gotta like talk rap this. Like it gotta be like me speaking and just demanding and just demanding something from someone. So anyway, that's one of the top ones. The other one, the interlude is called It Is Well. Y'all are gonna freak out on that one. I'm gonna just say it, put it like that. Y'all gonna freak out. It's called It Is Well.
Okay.
It is well. It is
With your
my
soul?
take on the classic hymn.
Oh.
Yep. Yep. It's my take on a classic hymn, and y'all not gonna be ready for that. Gosh, there's another one. Fantasy is like I'm giving you Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus. Who else can I name? Rihanna. You know, I'm
Yeah.
giving you, and it's like I wasn't thinking about them, but it puts me. And if I had to name some artists that's up to date, I would say like Doja Cat. You know, even what Doja and SZA just did, it's kind of along those lines. Even The Weeknd, like that whole last record that he did,
Yeah.
the whole that sonically, it's similar to that, but with my take and my voice.
Yeah. Fantasy
And I
is
wrote it.
definitely
Me
one
and
of those
Sam wrote that.
joints. Really? Okay. Did you get to write the majority of this project or was it a lot of collaborations? How did that process go?
It's really honestly it's all me, and I want to say Sam co-wrote with me on Fantasy. Sam co-wrote on one of the interludes, and I think that's it. Yeah, so I wrote the album.
So what is your first and
Sam
foremost?
co-wrote a few tunes with me.
Fantasy is that bop. Like I think hopefully by the time this is out, people can hear it because that hook because I really, really wanted to laugh. I'm just like,
yes.
It just hits and you get in your head and you be like, and so the way
beat,
you described it, yes, the way you described it is perfect because I'm a huge Katy Perry. I know I work for ThisIsRnB, but I'm actually a huge pop and rock country fan. So like your description was spot on. So I'm like, I love Katy. So it's a great, but it's still Stout. Whenever you hear it, you're gonna know it's still you. So that's what's so cool about it. But I wanted to know like, what is your writing process like then? Because you did handle the bulk of pretty much the entire album. So do you have a specific way that you work and what made you pick Sam to kind of help bring your vision to life?
Well, let's start with the question about Sam. So Sam and I, we met pre-pandemic, but then we connected last year during the pandemic, and we just caught a vibe, like, you know, virtually. So we started working on For You, and which is, you know, of course, going to be on the album as well. For You was a single that I released earlier this year, and it did well, and people, you know, people really vibed with it. And so I felt like we should take that sound and just keep going. I was like, let's just keep going. And he felt the same way. And so that's what made me pick him, is just his approach to like kind of like this pop R&B rock sound. I feel like he has that in the back. Like he is just like amazing with those elements. So, and I was just instantly drawn to that because I felt like the pop aspect of what he does was going to encourage the pop that's within me and the rock, which kind of turns into this like R&B pop rock thing. It's like, it's just a thing that we have. So it started with For You, and we just went from there. Now, my process of writing, for me, I go with the vibe and the frequency. If I got it, if it flows, I let it flow. If it makes sense, cool. If it's making sense, but I need another hand, I don't mind opening myself up to other writers. I do collaborate. Sam, like I said, Sam collaborated with me on this. The past project, my collaborators were Chris Jackson, a good friend of mine, and Johnny Blue. They're from the Black Monday camp. Shout out to them, and Sean Hamilton. So I am open to collaborating, but if it just flows and it's just there and the team agrees, we just go with it, you know? So sometimes I'll get a song right then and there. Sometimes it'll take me some time. Sometimes I'll get a song, half of a song early in the year. Sometimes I'll get the rest of the song in the middle of the year. It all depends. But the key thing is I'm just open to the process. I'm open to, I don't try to force it.
I always say you honor the creativity because you can't rush it. So when it speaks to you, listen to it and then move along. So that's great advice. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. So I'm curious now, with the album being completed, how did you know it was done? I'm always curious for this because it varies for different people. When do you know the project is done?
I just felt it spiritually. Like we were at 9 songs, and I know that might not be an awful lot, but I think it's enough to. I think that we got the point across. I think you're gonna feel what it is that we were feeling. I feel like the messages in the songs are expressed, and hopefully you'll get the whole concept of the record through these 9 songs. So at the end of the 9, I was just like, that's it. I didn't feel like going further. I feel like that was it. And then that would leave room for us to continue at another, later on this year.
Leave them more and more.
And it's just like a spiritual unction, as they said. I just felt it in my spirit. I was just like, that's it. I feel okay with this.
My biggest thing with album presentation, and I think somewhat of a lost art, maybe you could agree or disagree, is album sequencing. I think how you sequence your album can completely impact the way that the listener receives it. Is that something you took into account? Because I know you said each song makes sense together in a body of work, but the actual sequencing of the project, was that something that you really spent time on? And what was the thought process?
Oh yes, absolutely. I wanted to feel like a show. So the songs, they kind of run right into each other, as if you're at a show. And when you look at the track listing, right, if you're into that sort of thing, but when you look at the track listing, you'll be like, oh, okay, she's, this is like a story. So like you got Final Descent, right? If you think about, for those that travel, when you're flying, you hear the pilot come on the loudspeaker and saying that we're beginning our final descent. That means that we're finished with this flight. We're getting ready to come down. We're getting ready to land and get to our destination. So the destination is this place of me exploring or exuding what I want, how I feel about love, right? So you got the final the final descent, and we come down and we're talking about Dom. We're talking about when I get on the ground, I'm telling y'all what I want. Get my bag, take me here, get me in the car. Where's my driver? That's what Dom. That's the vibe of Dom. And then it's energy. I'm giving you all of this energy, honey. You can't deny me. I'm undeniable. Those are the lyrics of energy, right? Then from there, we're going, come on. Then from there, it goes on to the interlude. Now, the interlude talks about this. Come on, they talk about this interlude with this. Basically, I'm talking about this guy that I was with. I was like, I know you gotta go, but I want you next to me. Your flight don't leave to 12, so lay down. Get next to me. So it's just flowing through my experiences or my experience with this love that I had. So yeah. So the sequencing was very, very important to me. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think because for me, I look at it in the world of playlists and streaming, I don't think anything is wrong with either. But I think all that intention, you can't get putting your album on shuffle. You need to take a moment and eat the meal the way the chef prepared it, as I like to say. You start with an appetizer, you have the main, and then the desserts. So the way that you've done this album lets me know that you care about that. And I cannot wait for people to hear it because I know it's going to slap. Like I said, y'all are going to love energy. That joint, you put that on in the morning, all right, we about to get ready for the gym. Like, it's spastic. Like, I was laughing. I was saying that, I said, when you hear energy and all that, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, listen, you've been practicing on Instagram, but I said, all the kids are going to be ready to be voguing when outside opens back up. So Legendary, if you're listening, go ahead and call Stout on there one good time.
Legendary.
And let them vogue. Let them vogue to the energy and fantasy because Laomi, if you're watching, Megan, if you're watching, Law, Jamia, Tequila. We need energy on season 3 of Legendary because
Deshaun,
yes, if you're listening, Deshaun Wesley, if you're listening, we need energy on Legendary. She ain't asking for a lot, just a nice licensing fee, okay? Go ahead and get the lady on there because that song is going to be perfect for the summertime. So I'm excited. Are you releasing any visual? To me, you're a visual artist. So, but I know being independent, sometimes things have to operate a little bit differently on a different timeline, but do you have any visuals prepared and can you say for what songs?
Yes, I will say this, that the visual for Energy is in the works and y'all are gonna gag, honey.
I can only imagine. Any inside, can you say anything special? I don't want to ruin the reveal, but any exclusive?
Let's just say we're gonna gather some of the kids from the ballroom culture, honey.
Okay.
Let's just say.
Okay, so we were on the same wavelength then. To talk about Legendary, we were on the same wave. I love it. How was your experience? I know you performed with Childish Gambino, Alicia Keys. You've talked about, being able to tour and your favorite song, which is my favorite song by some of them. But what would you say to that 18, 19-year-old that was out and traveling the world and the woman you are today? What would you say has really been the things that you learned from then that you learn now? And what are things do you have any regrets, I guess, from your journey?
I don't have any regrets because I'm a firm believer that it's for you is for you and everything goes the way that it's supposed to. That's just that's what I believe. Now, I'm not going to say I always believe that. There were times where I felt like, oh, I could have done this differently. But as I stand, here today and have this interview with you, that's just where I am. I don't regret anything. I'm grateful for all of my experiences. And what I have learned along the way is that I am great and I possess so much power. And I've learned that it is very important to be humble and to give back and to help others. That's something that I've learned along the way and something that I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about, making sure that I extend humility and that if I can help somebody, I help them. I'm not, way up there yet, but as I grow and as I take the steps, I'm reaching back and trying to help my family and others. So those are the things that I learned along the way, is that I am powerful. I am great. I am the standard. I am. I look at myself as that. I am the standard. You are the standard. You have to believe. So this is something that I learned along the way, to believe in yourself. Mm-hmm.
I love that. So listen, as we are reaching our final descent of the interview, because I don't want to keep you long because the voice is a gift and I want to make sure it is ripe and ready for tonight. I did just want to know, I was always curious, where did the name Stout come from?
This name was given to me on tour with the Funk Apostles. This came from the Funk Apostles. Stout, if you look up the meaning, if you, think of like the Southern lingo of it, like the folks in the South use that name, they call a woman stout when she is, of a certain curvaceous nature. Yeah. But it is not only that. I'm very sensitive when it comes to names. So at first I was like, why are you calling me that? Because for those that don't know, my last name is Stoudemire. That's my last name, Stoudemire. So I thought it was like an abbreviation of my last name. And he was like, no, you just stout, you just powerful. And I was like, there it is. It's powerful. And I am a powerful being. And I feel like the character and the persona, if you will, or the spirit that unfolds on stage is very powerful, hence the name Stout.
I love that. I always was curious, and it makes so much sense once you are seen live. And again, I'm going to keep plugging this tour with Ledisi. Can you let the people know, when does the tour kick off? If you happen to remember, but listen, if you have not seen Stout live, whew.
Yes, it's with Ledisi, the queen, the legend. I always call her that. She's a sister, a big sister to me. She's like, oh my God, no, yeah, she's so humble, but she's a legend. Okay, period. I'm talking
Yes.
about flat foot, perform and sing, and her songs. I mean, her career has just been so beautiful, so amazing, and her songs, can pretty much go with you, way into the future. So I'm going to be on about 4 shows with her. So I'll be like in Alabama, I'll be in Atlanta, I'll be in North Carolina, South Carolina, and there may be one other. But she starts that tour in October. So you guys, you can go to Ticketmaster to get your ticket.
I know that they will, because trust me, anybody, I don't play when it comes to music. So if I'm co-signing it and letting you know, you already know what time it is. I just want to congratulate you, Stout, before we wrap, because you mentioned earlier about the process between you and Sam. And it made me think of when Patti LaBelle was doing her The Winner in You album. That ended up being her most successful. She said, working with the producer she worked with at the time, and my brain is fleeting, so I apologize. She said he was the first person to really take the time to understand what I did live and to help funnel it to the record and make it make sense. And hearing this album and this project, you did exactly that. And that's hard. For people who might not know or do music, they don't realize just how challenging it can be to do that. And I commend you, because that is truly a task. And people are going to be blessed from this album. They are going to feel free, their own journey to freedom, and all the array of emotions that come with this project. And they will be able to own the fact that they are an anomaly. So thank you for that. And I wish you much success. But we do have to wrap up with a game, because that's what we do here. So we're going to play a game called Right.
Let's go.
Okay? I'm super excited about this, because you freestyle in your show.
Okay.
So, so I'm going to give you 2 words.
Yes.
And you just have to make a simple hook. It doesn't have to be, too long, but just something fun. So this is the 2 words are going to be ice and rain. Just have to include those 2 in the
ice
freestyle.
And rain.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm so nice. Yeah, yeah. Look at my wrist. You see this eye.
Okay.
I'm so cool. Yeah. You see the rain come down on me like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hey.
Yeah. That's it.
Yes. Listen, you heard it here first. Okay. Play it back and throw it on the next record, because that was actually really dope. So looking out for it. Thank you so much, Stout.
Yes.
Blessings to you tonight on your show. You all, please make sure you're always checking in where you can get the up-to-date news on R&B here at ThisIsRnB.com. We love you.